Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. My name is Derek. I'm the owner of Flux here in Denver, Colorado. It's been a while since we have put out some content. If you're new here, we do classes, lessons, private events. We also have some membership and open studio options. We fire in cone 10 reduction, cone 6. We also do a little bit of raku from time to time. It's been quite a while since we've put out some content, but I'm very excited and very happy. We've got some great ideas and some great things lined up for you. If you've been struggling with, hey, why can't I pull this wall? How do I better shape? Why are my pots so crooked? How can I trim better? We're going to help you out with all of that. And we've got some great things and some great ideas lined up for you. Jumping right into it, the foundations, the underpinnings, the most important thing, we're going to throw a cylinder today. We're going to throw a 1.5 pound cylinder, and we're going to try to get that to 6 inches. I feel like that's a great starting point. It's a good amount of clay to work with as you're new. And even if you're not, it's a great repetitive practice to be able to throw consistent, even cylinders before you step up your weight and size. Let's get right into it. Today we're using, this is a gray stoneware. This is Bizbod Cone 10, and you're going to hear me brag about Rocky Mountain Clay a lot. They are really good friends and pretty much our neighbors. They're only about a mile from the studio, which makes getting clay here so easy as we're buying 2,000, 2,500 pounds at a time. We'll go over wedging at a later time, but I'm just going to give this a quick spin. Let's talk tools real quick. You only need a few things to throw a straight 6-inch cylinder. And really, it would be just these two. That would get us by. I prefer this. If you have these are mud tools. It's just an upgraded version of this, but this is a little wide, and you'll see why here in just a moment. All right, so when we start, you got your blue bat. If you're using plastic, just a little bit of water, okay? I can't emphasize enough how important it is. Make this somewhat symmetrical, somewhat spherical shape. You don't want a lumpy potato, as it'll just beat you up as it goes around, okay? A little bit of water. Take your clay. Don't throw it from way overhead. You're going to miss and get way off center. Find that center, tack it down, pop, pop, pop. And away we go. Sponge, water on my hands, water in the sponge, water on the clay. Spin the wheel, okay? It's very important not to go top speed for anything. This is too fast for even myself to be able to control this clay. When you're centering a little bit faster is okay. Left hand around the clay. Don't push, just hold. Right hand, make a fist. The first thing I'm gonna do is push down. The face of my knuckles shouldn't cross the center line. I don't want to be way up here. I don't want to tilt that knuckle way in. Keep that wrist straight in the middle. Squeeze the wheel with your legs, push down, okay? Don't go far. This first step should only take a couple seconds. You're just trying to get this clay adhered to this surface very well, okay? My next move, a little more water on the clay. Left hand around the clay. Right hand. I'm going to make a fist, but I'm going to start back here. I'm going to tilt that wrist up a little bit. Don't push down here. I'm going to push in with my left. Squeeze the wheel with your legs. Push forward with your left hand. It's very important you keep your arms down at all times. This wheel is raised up a little bit. You'll notice my arms are on the wheel, not my legs. Depending on where your wheel is sitting, you may have your arms on your legs. Whatever it is, your arms need to be down. As soon as you come up, you lose all your lateral stability, okay? So we've pushed the clay up a little bit. Notice how I'm not pushing from the side. I'm not scooping underneath there. We don't want to get this tight edge tucked underneath the clay, all right? If that happens, down. Push down with the right hand. Okay, nice and easy. Release gently. Now, one time is probably not enough. It's important to stretch this clay back and forth a couple times. So let's bring this clay up one more time. Push with the left. Down with the right. Okay? When I'm pushing with my hands, it's either or, it's never both together, okay? If you're squeezing both together, you're gonna get this floppy edge like this, okay? Be careful not to push with both hands. If your clay is out of center and bouncing, the answer is always up and down, okay? So let's go up one more time. As I'm leaning in with my left, that's when that clay should start to become still and centered. It's the wrong shape, but it's centered, okay? A little more water. Always keep water on the clay. Push down with the right, no matter where you're at or what you're doing. If that clay gets dry, let go. Get some more water, okay? And we're gonna finish this off, pushing down, hold, release gently. Okay, this is what we're looking for, centered clay. Next step, we're gonna poke a hole in this clay. Little water on my hands, right index finger, touch, dead center. Left on top of right, and I'm going to push just a little bit, not far. I'm just trying to give you a bullseye, a target to aim for. Once you get this hole started, now we're gonna go deeper and wider here. 1 and 2, and notice how I pull that middle finger back a little bit so my fingers are even. I'm not way out here. I got my hands back together. 1 and 2, touch, 1 and 2 on top, supporting fingertips, not my pads. I'm bounced up on those fingertips, push straight down. Don't go through the bottom. If you're not sure, if you're unable to judge how deep you should go at this point, there's a couple things to consider. 1, do you want to leave the bottom of your piece flat, or are you gonna trim a foot? So if you're gonna leave it flat, that is enough clay, okay? If you want to leave enough of a foot, you need to leave about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch of clay, okay? So that's about what we've got right now, 3/8 of an inch. And now we're going to just level that off a little bit in there, okay? And now from this point, we're gonna stretch this out. Water on my hands, water on the clay, 1 and 2, latch onto that wall. 1 and 2, on top, arms down, wrists down, I'm not way up here. Drop those hands, and I'm gonna pull right here. Watch my fingers real close as I stretch that out. Couple things to keep in mind, to consider, and to remember right now. 1, I am not pulling my arms, and I'm not turning those wrists up. I'm just pulling those fingers back. 1 and 2, just use that. Anchor your arms and body down. This is a hand exercise, and just curl your fingers back, okay? The second thing, this wooden tool is a great measurement. They're all about the same. Some might be a little narrow, a little smaller, but they're gonna get you about to the same place, because the width is important for getting a 6-inch cylinder, okay? This bottom edge should mark the radius of the base of your opening. And I'm able to smooth, clean, but most importantly, compress the floor of that clay. If you have this little lip, we can take this and just flatten this off and blend that in a little bit. And you have arrived. This is where we want to start. As we begin, sponge, a little bit of water. Add the water right here. Okay, don't do this number. Okay, hold still as the wheel's spinning and dribble it on there. We need that water to hit here so that we create a nice skim coat inside and out. It does us no good to just pool that water up in the middle. Okay, we want to keep that bailed out as much as possible. A little bit of water. See how I use that thumb to guide that stream? And away we go. Left, thumb and index will sit between 4 and 5 o'clock. Sponge between my thumb and middle finger, hands together. Okay, don't let the wheel pull your hands around, and don't turn too far this way. Try and stay between here and here. First pull, hands together. I'm going to push, push, push. Notice that groove I've made. And now I'm going to hold that tension and lift my hands up slow and steady. Right to the top, breathe, release gently. Okay, we got a little lift. Something that's very important that will help you out and to think about as you're making these first lifts. It's not about gaining huge amounts of height right now. More than that, we want to create an even, consistent wall. So if you focus on creating an even thickness wall, you will gain height, okay? One more time, down to the bottom, okay? Left thumb and index, down to the bottom, where the clay meets the bat. Push. Hold, I'm going to turn my right palm to the sky a little bit and lift my hands up nice and easy. Right to the top, pause, release gently. Okay, you'll notice my piece is starting to flare a bit. That's the spinning force pulling on the wheel. Okay, so if we want to make a bowl, we're just going to keep lifting. And with each consecutive pull, it's just going to get wider and wider. Okay, so if we want to make a cylindrical form, something more taller and more narrow, I'm going to squeeze this in a little bit. Okay, think volcano as you're making these lifts. That's where we want to start. As this starts to get taller, I'm going to start to raise this left arm off my leg because I don't want to have a bent wrist as I go into this pot because I will start to crush it, right? So I want to raise this hand up. Okay, a little bit of water. Down to the bottom we go. Press. See that groove at the bottom? Hold that tension. I'm going to turn my right palm up a little bit, and up we come. Slow and steady, nice and easy, right to the top. It is going to flare a little bit. So what you don't want to do is fight that clay back in because then it's going to get bouncy. So as I'm coming up, 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 gently pull out to chase that spinning force a little bit. Because after I get done with my pull, now I can come in and squeeze this back in, even that top out a little bit, and we're back to cylindrical form. All right, so we're getting up there. We're getting some height, not terrible. We're about 3, almost 4 inches wide, and we are at 4.5 inches tall. So we got a little bit more to go. All right. Most of the time I will use a sponge. There are certain instances where I use just my fingers, right? And I'm going to show you that right now. So inside hand, let's talk about that. What we don't want to use is this middle finger. What's going to happen? You're going to turn that finger and you're going to push that out. This is the longest finger, obviously, but also it's stronger and it's heavy-handed, and you're just going to drive that wall out. So more importantly, it's okay when you start if you want to gather clay here, but when I make that ascension, I'm on this face of my index finger, down to the bottom. Press. Hold. Okay, now I'm going to stop here a minute. I'm going to give you pro tip of the day. Do you see this bulge down here? Okay, so what I've done is I've dug under a little bit here, but with my inside hand, I am pushing out. Do you see that swell I've made? That is now what I'm going to lift. If I just continuously dig, 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 I'm just going to make that base more and more narrow, and pretty soon I've got too narrow of a base to really do anything with. So this is going to help maintain a nice base at the bottom, so it's not too narrow. Now, when I lift, I just lift underneath that base, and we come straight up, 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 right to the top. Don't overthin the top now. Pause at the top, release gently. The most common mistake I see is people are thinning this upper section out too much. It's easy to squeeze and lift from here, but the tricky part is really learning how to get that mass, that thickness, and drive it up without over thinning that top. Squeeze this in a little bit, and we're back to cylinder, okay? So what I tell people is, as you're lifting, start to recognize when it's getting thinner, and we do what's called a fake pull, where you keep coming up, but you're not thinning this wall down, okay? One more time, down to the bottom. I have a little bit of clay left. Now, dig just a little bit. Push from the inside. Now, come on up. Slow and steady, gentle, right to the top. Don't squeeze anymore. Release gently, okay? I've got a little twist in my clay, and we're gonna fix that right now. This tool, great tool, love these tools a lot. I'm going to hold this here, but I'm not going to turn into it, and I'm not gonna be flat. I'm gonna be on that edge a little bit, but turn back just a little bit. And I'm going to push out and gently raise up. Be careful not to thin out the upper section. Okay, cylinder. All right, let's finish this off. I'm going to give this just a little squeeze because I have just a little bit of thickness at the bottom I would like to get up, okay? Down to the bottom, press, hold, and there's not very much. Really, all I'm doing is just evening that wall out. Okay, just a little bit. my clay's just a little bouncy, and that's okay. I had a little twist. I could have wedged this just a little bit better. See that little twist down there? But we can fix it. Nice little cylinder. Let's measure it. A 4-inch wide, exactly 6-inch tall cylinder. Okay? If you go wider, it's going to be shorter. If you go more narrow, it's going to be a little bit taller. For me, I feel like this is a good thickness because if I try to go much taller, it will collapse. Rather than shaping this into an object, because at this point, this is when we would start to give it contour and increase the volume and change the overall look of it, I find it to be much more helpful to cut this in half and show you what my hands are doing on the inside. Okay, so first thing we're looking for is a nice even wall, and you can see the thickness on the floor doesn't give us a lot to trim, which is okay. You know, leave your pots flat. If you want to be able to trim, leave that a little thicker. What my hands are doing on the inside, right? Don't dig into that surface. We don't want to dig in. Your finger should rest right in that corner where the wall meets the floor, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm pushing, hold, lift. And as I lift, I want you to take special note of the bend I've got in that wall, that S-curve. That's the magic of lifting and stretching that clay out. It's not pinching, right? Because you'll go through it very, very quickly. All right, guys, I hope you have found this helpful and informative. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop a comment down in the comment section. One last thing I'm going to talk about, as you finish this piece, if this is crashed, if you kill this, and you're left with this clay here, don't scrape this clay off. Simply get the water off, and any clay left behind is going to be much stickier for your next piece, more so than the water on the bat.